In lesson 5.3, we're going to be adding fractions when the denominator is the same. You will need your whiteboard marker, and your math journal too. So let's go ahead and begin with our warm-up. We are going to take some word problems and figure out the answer or solution. Dartriana has 5 beads. Kennedy has 7 times as many beads as Dartriana. How many beads does Kennedy have? On your whiteboard, I would like you to write an equation for this. Dartriana has 5. Kennedy has 7 times as many. Go ahead and write 5 times 7 and go ahead and solve that basic multiplication fact. Don't forget a label at the end. 5 times 7 is 35 beads. All right, go ahead and erase your whiteboard. Let's try number 2. Ellie has a large and a small ball of string. The small ball is made with 20 feet of string. The large ball has 30 times as many feet of string. How many feet of string are in the large ball? Let's see if before I do it, you can write an equation and solve it. Go ahead and give it a try. All right, the small ball is made of 20 feet. The large ball has 30 times. So we're just looking at an extended fact. 3 times 2 is 6. We'll add 2 zeros on the end. And then let's go ahead and write 600 feet of string. Usually when there's a word problem, there is some sort of label to be added to the end of the solution. Number 3, Matthew and his older brother Jason were eating grapes. Jason ate 54 grapes. He must have been hungry, which is 9 times as many as Matthew. How many grapes did Matthew eat? Go ahead and solve this one. Remember, Jason ate 9 times as many as Matthew, so Matthew cannot have more than him. Go ahead and solve it. Pause the video if needed. So what we're trying to figure out is some number times 9 gives me 54. 54. So what number times 9 gives me 54, or what is 54 divided by 9? It is 6 grapes. So one was very hungry and one was not very hungry. Go ahead and erase your whiteboard. Now let's look at some word problems using fractions. Radhika ate 1/3 of a small peach tart. Brianna ate 1/3 of another peach tart that was the same size. Together, how much peach tart did they eat? Remember, same size. If you had a peach tart, let's say they're round, and you had a small one versus a large one, even if they ate 1/3 each, obviously they're not the same size, so they are not equal. So just be aware of that. It has to be the same size. On your whiteboard, I want you to draw a picture to help you solve the number story. So why don't you go ahead and draw what you might think a peach tart would look like. If you take your peach tart, divide it into thirds, 1/3, 1/3 of the tart, 1/3. Radhika ate 1/3, and Brianna ate 1/3 as well. So is 1/3 and 1/3 more or less than 1 whole tart? It's less than, isn't it? The way I can write this equation is 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3 of the tart. Notice the denominator didn't change because that tart is still in 3 equal parts. All right, go ahead and erase your whiteboard and let's try another one. Cassie's teacher assigned 12 math problems for homework. Cassie finished 3/12 of the problems at school, and she solved 2/12 when she got home from school. What fraction of the problems has Cassie solved so far? Notice the problems have not changed. There are still 12. So if she finished 3/12 at school plus another 2/12 at home, what we're going to do is keep 12s the same because there were only 12 math problems even at school and at home that didn't increase. All we do is we go ahead and add the numerators. 3/12 at school plus 2/12 would be 5/12. What is the whole assignment? Well, the whole assignment is 12 problems. All right, let's go ahead and erase our whiteboards again. One more problem before we move to our math journal. After running 3/4 of a mile, Marissa stopped for a drink of water. Then she ran another 3/4 of a mile. How far did she run in all? Well, let's go ahead and add those fractions. She ran 3/4 of a mile, write this on your whiteboard, and stopped and got a drink of water. And then she added on another 3/4 of a mile after. We keep the denominator the same. We go ahead and add the numerators. 3 plus 3 is 6. Now, we really wouldn't say she ran 6/4 of a mile because is that more or less than 1 full mile? It's more than. So we would say that would equal 1.5 miles, or what you might say 1 2/4 of a mile. They all mean the same thing. They are equivalent. What is the whole? Well, the whole is the 1 mile. Does each of the fractions in this problem refer to the same whole? You can see the little sneaky answer there. I couldn't change it when I took it from the computer. Yes. Will our answer be more or less than a 1 mile? We already said it's more than 1 mile. When the top number is larger than the denominator, it equals more than 1 whole. Let's move into our math journal for today. We're going to be working on page 159, fraction addition in journal 2. Number 1, again, remember, pause the video whenever needed. If you need to go get your journal, then you need to pause your video until you come back. Solve the number stories, use a different strategy for each one. So number 1, Ryan and his 3 sisters painted the walls of their family room. Ryan used 2/3 of a gallon of paint, or of a can of paint, Each of the sisters, I almost missed that, used 1/3 of the same size can. How much paint did they use all together? Well, the whole would be the can of paint. It might be a gallon, it might be a quart. But if you were painting the walls of a living room or a family room, it would be a gallon most likely. Now we filled in the whole box. Now write a number model with the unknown. So we know that Ryan had 2/3, but be careful, each of his 3 sisters. So they each use 1/3 sister 1 plus sister 2 plus sister 3. Let's go ahead and keep that denominator the same and add together all of the numerators. 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is what? You are right. It's 5/3 of a can. Now remember what I said before. When that numerator or top number is larger than the denominator, it equal or more than 1 whole. So 5/3 would be the same as 1 whole can plus another 2/3. Now let's go ahead and draw a picture of what that might look like. Each can, if you think of it maybe in terms of a gallon, Ryan is 2/3 and each sister is another third. So sister 1, sister 2, and again, if you need more time to divide that, just go ahead and pause the video. And all together, watch what happens. This third plus this third plus this third all together equals 1 whole. This would be 1 can plus the brother's 2/3. And there's where we get 1 2/3. 1 2/3 cans. Again, you may need to pause that video. Number 2, Allie and Sharice both run to stay in shape. On Saturday, Allie ran 3/8 of a mile more than Sharice. Sharice ran 7/8 of a mile. How far did Allie run? So the first thing we have to do is fill in the whole box. We're talking miles here, so 1 mile is what the whole is. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and add together the information we have. Let's start with Sharice. We know that she ran 7/8 of a mile. Allie ran 3/8 of a mile more than. More than means I'm going to add that amount on to the 7/8. And it says to write an unknown, which we call a variable. So I'm going to put the lowercase x. You could use a lowercase m. You could use a lowercase a. It's up to you. Now I'm going to use a picture again to solve it again, but show you in a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a number line. Would you draw a number line as well? You have plenty of space in there. Well, I know my answer is going to equal more than 1 mile, so I'm going to make halfway the mile part. Or in other words, since I have eighths as my denominator, I can call that 8/8 and call this 2, or I'd call this 16/8. I'm going to divide the number line up to the mile into eighths, since we divided that mile into eighths. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8 equals the whole mile. Make that one a little thicker. Then 1 1/8, 1 2/8, 1 3/8, 1 4/8, 1 5/8, 1 6/8, 1 7/8, and 1 8/8, which is equal to 2. Make that one a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and put, let's see, Sharice. Remember, she was 7/8 of a mile. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. I'm going to put a C for Sharice. So she ran this far. Next, I'm going to add on 3 more A's. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8 brings me to right here. And this is the distance that Allie ran. So what is our answer? 1 1/8, 1 2/8. So the answer, another way to say that, would be to say 10/8, or how we would refer to it more often would be 1 2/8. Let's continue now and move out of word problems and just move to equations at the bottom of journal page 159. We're going to go ahead and add 2/10 plus 5/10 is 7/10. 80 hundredths plus 30 hundredths is 110 100ths. Oh, it tells me it's equal than more than 1 whole, so I can also say 1 10 hundredths. And lastly, 2 plus 3 plus 1 is 6. And when the top number and the bottom number are the same, it equals 1 whole. That's all for our math journal lesson today.